A reader asked me if I could make a video for my gluten-free, yeast-free, egg-free, multigrain bread. This is the sweet potato-free version. I have a few recipes in my cookbook, I think it's about 5, that contain sweet potato flour. It's a great flour, I love it. It's just hard for some to get. So I've been going through my recipes and I've been revising them to remove the sweet potato flour. I've done that with my breadsticks recipe. I just finished revising the pizza crust recipe, and this is the revision for one of the loaves of bread, sandwich bread recipes or dinner bread in the cookbook. So let's go over a few things. Let's go over some of the ingredients that are in this before we get started. You have your flours, you have your arrowroot flour, and look at the brands that I'm using, especially if you're in the United States, or you can get these brands where you live. These are the brands that I found worked best for this recipe. So you have your arrowroot flour, which is from Authentic Foods. You have the white rice flour, which is from Vitacost. Authentic Food makes a white rice flour as well, and they're very finely milled. That's what makes them different. Vitacost is a new brand that just came out with gluten-free flours, and I love them all. And they're very, very similar to the Authentic Foods brand flours. You have tapioca flour in this recipe. You also have 2 protein flours, and that's quinoa and ivory teff. Both of those are great flours. They add a little bit of a multigrain taste to the bread along with their protein. Okay, and then we have our cognac powder, cream of tartar, baking soda, salt, sugar, and we're going to add those in along with some chia seed, which is a great way to help your baked goods rise when you're not using eggs, some extra light olive oil, and then a choice of vinegar or lemon juice. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to heat up our oven. We want to set our oven, bake, and we're going to set it to 425. Now we're setting it to 425 initially. When we start to cook the bread, we're going to lower it to 400. You want to give your oven a good chance to preheat, and do not trust that bell. Some bells that tell you your oven is preheated, chimes, whatever, they go off at a certain amount of time, not necessarily because your oven is preheated. It just chimes after, let's say, 10 minutes, 9 minutes. Instead, you want to make sure you're giving it, I like to give mine about 20 minutes to preheat, and usually it takes me, it will take you probably the first couple times you do this recipe about 20 minutes, so that should work out just about right. Okay, we're also going to start boiling our water, heating it up. It doesn't have to quite get to a boil, just as long as it's hot. Our water for the chia seed. The chia seed really helps this bread rise. So I'm starting to heat up the water right now. What you also need to know is, some people say, why did you say 2/3 of a cup if you're not using all that and you're only using a half a cup plus 1 tablespoon? The reason is sometimes you get busy and you start to leave the water to boil and some evaporates. This way that compensates for that. So when you go measure it out in the end, when you're ready, it has the right amount still. Okay, so the water has boiled. So now we're going to add the whole chia seed. This is Salba brand organic chia seed. I've been using this for quite a while now and I like it. I had tried ground chia in the recipe, and I found that the whole seed caused the bread to rise just a little bit higher. So since then I've only been using the whole seed. So you want 2 tablespoons. Again, this is 1/8 of a cup, and that's the same as 2 tablespoons, just so you know. So that's going in there. Make sure for those of you new to cooking, that when you measure your water, you're holding it up at eye level and looking at the amount, because it can vary slightly. So this is the half a cup of water, which is 8 tablespoons, and then one more. Okay, and then you have your immersion stick blender. So this is Braun. I've had this for years, love it. And you're just going to put it in just until it gels. And then I let it sit while I do the rest of the recipes, ingredients. Minute. Okay, while the oven's preheating, we're going to grease our loaf pan. This is a great loaf pan for gluten-free baking. When I first started out, I used glass Pyrex loaf pans, but recently I found out that these pans by Norpro, which are 8 by 4.5 wide by 3 deep. They're just a little bit smaller, and they actually a little bit narrower, I should say, and smaller. They actually help your gluten-free bread rise just a little bit higher. And when you're baking without yeast, you definitely want to have every advantage you can on your side. So all I'm using to grease it is some shortening, some organic shortening, which is made from palm oil. I take a little bit on a napkin, about a teaspoon, and I just rub it around and just make sure I get into the corners. Okay, and that's all set. And then I will get ready my flours. We're going to start measuring out our flours. Something very important in cooking, and especially gluten-free cooking, is how did the cookbook author, how did they measure their flours? And there's a couple of different ways you can do it. Some people can scoop in and measure like that, and other people can do it the way that I do it, which is called the spoon-in method. So you're taking a spoon of flour from the bag, and then you're kind of shaking it just slightly. You're not shaking the measuring cup. If you shake the measuring cup, the flour is going to settle a bit, and you don't want to do that. So you're going to put that in there slowly. Oops. And you have your bowl on the bottom to catch any that doesn't make it in. And you're going to make it mound just slightly. There you go, that should be enough. So that you can fill this up. Okay? Now when you get, and then you're going to take the rest, and what I do with my Authentic Food brand flour bags is they have a resealable plastic piece up on top. I cut that right off. There you go. I cut that right off. And the reason why I do that is because it makes it so much easier to put my flour back when I'm done. And then I just close the bag myself with a clip. And put a clip on there. Okay. And I'll measure the other flours out the same way. We're going to put our white rice flour in, and our tapioca and our quinoa and our teff. I'll get that all ready and be right back. Okay. When you get really good at spooning it in, and you know the feel of spooning it in and how much is going in, eventually you can do what I do, which is a quicker method, and I pour from the bag. Okay? Let's see if you're getting a good shot of that. And I'm just lightly putting it in. If a big, large amount goes in, then I would start again. If I'm like rushing too much and I'm having too much going, okay? Now, something else that's kind of important is when you level, some people think, oh, it's okay to put this extra amount in, but what they don't realize is this extra amount could be 2 or 3 tablespoons, maybe more, of flour. So it's important to level that off so you're getting the right amount. Okay? This was just a test one to show you guys. All right, so we have in our bowl, we have the arrowroot. Here's the white rice flour, the tapioca flour. Okay. We're going to put the quinoa flour in, which is 1/4 cup, plus the 2 tablespoons, and the ivory tep flour, plus the 2 tablespoons. And we're just going to give that a quick whisk. Just kind of blend it all together. Okay? Now, what I do in my recipes is I keep your sugar, your cognac, your cream of tartar, your baking soda, and your sea salt separate from the rest of the recipe. And there's a reason why I do that, because several times I was making recipes and I'd have this part done and I'd go and I'd start adding my cognac and my cream of tartar right to the bowl, and often I'd forget. Did I put the cream of tartar in? Did I put the cognac in? I can't remember. And I'd wind up having to throw all of this expensive gluten-free flour away. So I stopped doing that. And what I do now instead is I have a separate little bowl, and I put the cognac and the sugar and the cream of tartar, the baking soda and the salt, sea salt, right in there. Then, excuse me, then when I'm ready, I just pour this into the bowl and it's all set and good to go. Okay. Now the last thing that we have to do is we have to get our water and either your vinegar or lemon juice. Whoa, lemon getting away. And you can use either one, the vinegar or the lemon juice. It would be the same amount. We recently started using the vinegar and been having very good results with it. And it actually smells a lot more like bread dough for some reason. I don't know why. All right, so we have our chia seed. It's been in the water. We processed it with the immersion stick. And we also have our water with the oil and the vinegar. Okay, so they're together. They're together in the measuring cup. And what I do is I just give my chia one more quick process. If it got too thick while it was waiting, oh, come on. If it got too thick while it was waiting, I'll add just a little bit. This one's okay still. Okay, and then I add in and just kind of make a slurry out of it. You're seeing that. Go, add in the rest. Usually I put this in the 4-cup. Measuring cup, but it's doing fine in here. Okay. Now that that's all mixed, I'm going to add that to the dry ingredients, which are in the mixing bowl, ready to be mixed. We have our bread loaf flours in the mixing bowl. This is a KitchenAid mixing bowl, KitchenAid mixer, and we're going to add our liquid ingredients that we just processed. I put them in all at once. And you can see I'm just using the regular paddle. Okay, we're going to time it so that it's 45 seconds. Put this down, and on a KitchenAid mixer, it's on speed 2. Just about done. Okay. Perfect. Wipe off your paddles. Here, let's see if we can get a good shot of it. There, perfect. All right. Sometimes you have to. Oops, I was hitting it the wrong way today. Okay, that was good for a laugh. All right, so we're going to start scraping, and let's see if I can't get a good shot of that. All right, so I'm going to start scraping from the back. See what I'm doing? And it's all going to go into the pan. Hard to get this all in one shot, but let's see. It's all going to go into the pan in one. Just keep scraping from the back. Okay. Get all that good stuff in there. And then what I do is very simply, I'm just going to just make sure that it's not a great idea to tilt it, but there we go. And it's all into your pan, so you get a nice even loaf. If you need to, you're new at this, you could always dip this in a little bit of water. Dip your spatula in a little bit of water, and there it is. You have this ready to go. And this will go into your oven. When you put this in the oven on the middle rack, you want to make sure that you're turning your temperature of your oven down to 400 degrees. 400 degrees for 1 hour. And we'll come back and see how well this baked. Looking good, baking up in the oven. Have pretty good rise. A trick too is don't open your oven too much. I never do. When I put the bread in, or anything I bake, I never open it until it's time to check on it, or I think it's just about ready, or it's done. Because you're letting cold air in, and that can affect things too. Okay, here are our loaves fresh out of the oven. And this, we just moved into a new house, and one thing I'm finding is that the water here is different. That's the only thing that changed in my recipe. And that's how much a difference water can make. And if you could see, this loaf here, it has some indents in the top, and this one does not. This was made with a bottled water, and this was made with my house water. We'll see, you know, as time goes on, sometimes it will go away. Comes right out. And there's your bread loaf. And here's the second one. Again, as you can see, it pops right out. And I generally wait. Hopefully my family will wait too. I wait to cut the bread until it has a chance to cool just a bit. But as you could tell, it's a nice sized loaf with a good rise. And hopefully yours will turn out a lot like this too. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. And here are a couple of pieces of the sliced bread. My husband has already taken the end. And there you go. Nice consistency. Just a couple holes, just like real bread. Enjoy!